It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a good morning to you out there. It is another beautiful morning here in South Florida, and you are listening to the Fish Florida Show, and I am your host, Riscala. And this morning, oh, what a great morning it is. I have the one and only Pam Worth actually here with me in the studio. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, Riscala. What a great day it is.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty out there. She was involved in the Extreme Kayak tournament yesterday. Kind of get a little bit of lowdown on that in just a minute. The radar report this morning shows a little bit of stuff happening off the coast, off of the west coast, and very little happening on the east coast. So it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day. According to the beach report, the beaches are going to be very low risk of rip currents today. Again, just be aware you may have some bait fish going on out there. You don't want to be swimming near the bait fish, otherwise you become bait too.
When you act like bait, you are bait.
There you go. Other than that, it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day. Get out there and enjoy it. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us. We are here every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Several different ways you can listen to us. The easiest of all, of course, is the app. You can download the Fish Florida app. It is absolutely free, and you can listen to us there. If you're not an app kind of person and you're on the computer, several ways you can listen to us there. You can go to fishfloridashow.com, listen live. You can also, if you're a Facebooker, you can go to Facebook and find our page and click on Contact Us, and you can listen to us live there as well. If you don't have any of that and you've got a phone and you've got unlimited time on your phone, you can actually call in. Now, you won't be calling in to the board, to the host and the co-host, but you'll be calling in to listen. And that number is 701-719-9704. So we do try to make it as easy as we can for you to listen to the show, and we are ever so grateful for each one of you that take the time and let us share with you. To me, it's kind of an educational thing. I'm constantly learning. I have people who come on and tell me about all kinds of things that go on in the water. And my little one over here is starting to fight with my cat. We've got a cat and dog fight going on.
He wants to play. The cat does not want to play.
So you were in the Extreme Kayak tournament. How did that go?
It was a great tournament. Joe and his wife Maria always run an amazing tournament. The weather was great. When we launched, it was like launching onto a lake. It was beautiful.
Wow.
The only downside is the current was ripping. We were over 4 knots headed north, which you usually average paddle your kayak about 1.5 or 2. So you can see it was a challenge. You really got pulled through the tides. But nice kingfish were caught. A few tuna were caught. It was a great day. It was really a lot of fun. Both my partners got really nice kingfish.
Wow.
And Bart landed his second sailfish. He calls me his little lucky sailfish. Both times I fished with him, he's landed sailfish. So I'm excited for him. It was a good tournament. Great turnout.
How far out did you get before you hit the current?
Not that far. Basically, kind of what we do is make big circles or big S-curves. It started ripping right after the first reef, which was probably about 45 feet.
Yeah, that's not much. That's not very far out at all.
No. So we basically went out to about 250 to 300 and then kind of worked our way back in. And you basically at the end then take off your baits, get really shallow, like about 20 feet, because the current's not that bad then, and go back south. Turn around, go to about 60, 70 feet, put your baits back on, go out to 200, back and forth and back and forth.
That's called building the leg muscles.
It's called dying. But Bart ended up catching a sailfish, and by the time we landed it and the help boat came by to take some photos, and he even jumped in the water and swam with it a little bit, which was really cool.
Wow.
We had drifted almost down to the Deerfield pier.
My goodness.
So that was a heck of a ride back.
I can't imagine. You went out there, you pedaled all the way out there, then you pedal around, then you pedal back. I don't know that I'd be able to walk after all. My legs would be so sore. I don't think I'd be able to walk after that. How do your legs feel, by the way?
The knees are a little bit squeaky this morning, but except for that, it's all good. It's all good. I did for the very first time. I got a cramp in my foot, but I just kind of pedaled with one foot for a little while.
I was going to share with you earlier. I had forgotten my train of thought. I had gone down to Miami Convention Center to a convention going on down there. The first time in a long time, I had ridden a bus and the Tri-Rail. A really neat experience. But one of the things that happened was, in order to get off the Tri-Rail and get on the bus, I had to walk up these steps. Oh my gosh, I tell you, I almost collapsed from. They were so tall. There was 5 or 6. What I'm talking
levels?
about? Yeah, levels. You walk up and then you just level. You can literally rest and then you walk up the level. By the time I got to the top, because the escalator wasn't working, by the time I got to the top, my gosh, my legs were like giving out from under me. So I'm thinking about that as you're describing what you're doing out there in the water. I'm thinking by the time I got back, they'd have to have a stretcher for me. I wouldn't be able to walk.
Well, you work up to it. It's people who just get a kayak and they see me going offshore go, oh, we want to do that too. No.
It's not.
No.
Not that easy.
And also, there's times of the year where, over here on the East Coast, where the current isn't ripping as much as it is right now, earlier in the spring. And if you want to go offshore fishing, man, contact Brian Nelly. He's awesome. He knows what's safe, how far to go. He'll kind of judge you as you're going along. Not judge personally, but just your strengths.
Yeah.
And he's always put people on fish up in the Boynton, Palm Beach area. So that's great.
Do you carry what do they call them? I think they're called paddles. I may be calling them the wrong thing. Like the oars. Do you carry oars as well, or you just carry?
I carry paddles, and mine, the kind that I like to use, they're made by Warner, and you can take them apart so I can shove each one under my seat. But regulation on a kayak is, even if you have a foot system, you have to have a paddle with you also. Even on a boat. On a boat, you're supposed to have a paddle, just in case something goes wrong.
Do you carry a horn? Do you carry a horn with you?
No, I carry a whistle, but there's been times that I really wish I had a horn. I had a couple boats come especially a giant boat with the wake, and I know they don't think about it, and they don't do it on purpose, but sometimes that wake is really crazy, especially I have a 12-gallon live well at 10 pounds, 8 pounds a gallon, start multiplying that.
Yeah. So
I always want to turn into a big wave coming at me, which is the easiest to nose into it. So I spent half the time zigzagging boats.
I from experience of being out there, some people are just not considerate. That's really what it boils down to. They're not thinking about somebody else, and they'll come whizzing by. I call them the war boats, the really big ones, like the Bertrams and the Hatteras, and these are in the 50 mark. When they come by, it's a miniature tidal wave coming over.
Exactly, but they're out in the area that they're allowed to go fast and do that. Yeah. It's not like it's a no wake zone, so they have a right to do it. I'm
be a little more considerate.
Well, I'm going to say that they're naive and they don't know. I'm going to go with
them the benefit of the doubt.
Because I did see one boat slow down after he saw me go through the wake and kind of curl back. He actually turned to make sure that I was okay and then started off again. But the kayaks, I got news. These ocean-going kayaks that we use can handle these waves. You just have to know how to look into a wave or deal with the wave or keep your balance. Mm-hmm. Because they're designed to handle it.
Wow. Well, it looks like we have Robert Warner with Florida Fisherman Magazine on. Is that you, Robert?
It is. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. How is everybody doing?
Great. My knees are a little ouchy, but except for that, I'm doing great.
Other than that?
Well, I'm having a great day. I got her in the studio with me this morning. She's not calling in. She's here in the flesh.
Oh, she's for real today.
I'm for real. And I've had coffee, so I'm talking really fast.
And she did the extreme. Were you at the tournament, Robert?
No, I wasn't.
You missed it. I missed it as well. But she did the extreme tournament kayak tournament yesterday, and she's ready to go.
Yeah. We had a big crowd out there. That was great because it's not just the fishing part of it. They also have like a tough man, tough lady physical challenge, and they have a paddleboard race. So it's really a lot of fun. And we had more women. We actually had 3 out there this time.
Wow. Caught a lot of fish.
Yep. I posted up on my Facebook page the extreme winners. So that's kind of cool. Look at, see all the fish that they caught. Holler.
I'll find that and put it over on the magazine's page.
Okay, yeah, I copied Joe's from his page. I just copied it over, and it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, Joe always puts on a really good tournament. And are you ready for this? I won a kayak.
You did, really?
I won a kayak.
Congratulations! Wow.
Yes. They have
That's cool.
Yeah, they have a big raffle for the children's fund. And I threw in $100 and ended up winning the raffle, which was a Hobie.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a small Hobie. And if anybody's seen me, I'm not a small person. But it's a great boat, And a friend of mine has 2 children, and he was there.
Perfect.
And I gave him the boat.
Oh, bless your heart! Wow, that's great.
And a friend of mine came up and said, "You actually gave him the boat?" And I said, "Yeah." So Brian, what I really wanted was a fish bag. Okay, it's worth like maybe $200. The boat's worth, what was it worth? $1,400. So he goes, he showed up Friday afternoon and said, "Here's your fish bag." I went,
oh my goodness!
So I won as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Well, Robert had mentioned.
Everybody won that one.
That's my kind of deal. Robert had mentioned the magazine. Well, I took a look at the magazine. I swear, I don't know how you. Each time you come out, it's like better than the last time. I don't know. You outdid yourself again, my friend.
Well, I just learn a little more every time. So.
Great job. So if you haven't seen it, it's an online magazine you can easily find online. It's Florida Fish Magazine. And Robert, give out the website.
It is www.flfishmag.com. And anytime you want to send us something to take a look at to put in the magazine, it is pages at flfishmag.com.
And did a tremendous job. Went and looked through it. Just quickly looking through it took about 10 minutes. That's just quickly, without stopping and reading, just quickly looking through it. So you can imagine it's very detailed, all kinds of information in there. And I'm ever so grateful for Robert because he gives me a little bit of time every Sunday to share with me. He has access to a wide variety of information. Being the editor of the magazine, a lot of people speak to him about a lot of the stuff that's going on. And so he's always there for me on Sundays. I appreciate that, Robert. I really do. What's the latest and greatest going on around us today?
The latest and greatest is the fishing is good. Obviously, the weather has been a little sketchy here the last week.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's straightening out. The fronts are gone, or at least the westerly flow of storms is left for a while. And that being said, the fishing should be a little better than it has been, and it's been really good. The fishing in the Keys has obviously been great, but it normally is. But even up and down the east and west coast, it's been good. So snapper fishing is great. The mahi are out, but apparently they're a little particular about where they are. They're sort of spread around the state. There's still some being caught up north in Jacksonville.
Gosh. Wow.
They're all over the Palm Beach area and the Dayton-Broward area. They seem to skip a little area in the middle of the state, and then they're all over the place down in the Keys. So they're just sort of spread around.
You mentioned Jacksonville. I found that surprising. Are they normally up there at this time of the year?
Well, they are. It's just you got to go out so far to get them that it's ridiculous. But
I didn't think they went that far north. Wow.
Oh yeah.
They'll go to Bimini.
As a matter of fact, I don't know if anybody saw it, but the guy some guy in Maryland caught one last week, set a new state record with a 43-pound.
Holy smokes!
Mahi in Maryland. So
they're
everywhere. But
was it you that was telling
me? The
me?
problem is, like I said, in Jacksonville, the Gulf Stream's about 40 miles offshore. So
Was it you that was telling me last week they caught a mahi-mahi way off of the west somewhere, off in the Pacific?
Off of Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And it's funny because I've talked to that guy throughout the week. I was working on the magazine, and he called and he said it's funny. He said, I sent you those pictures thinking it was a fluke, and he said these tuna captains are catching them every day now.
Wow.
He said they're not big. He said they're all in the 10, 12 pound range.
That's perfect for me.
But they're catching them daily with the tuna.
Wow.
He said not a lot of them, but 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah, they're following the bait up.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. The fish can migrate from one place to another thousands and thousands of miles. It's just amazing.
I was just surprised that the mahi were in water that temperature. So that was the part that surprised me the most. So
I would think the water's pretty cold up there, right?
it is. It's about 60 degrees, he said, which is unusual for mahi. That's cold for them.
Did you say 50 or 60?
60.
60. Okay, that's a big difference because our water around here is typically around 80, isn't it?
Yep. 90
Big difference.
This time of year.
Wow. Big difference. Man. And from what I understand, I know a little bit about them, and not much, but from what I understand, they don't particularly care for cold water. So the whole thing is like bizarre. It really is.
Yeah, it was. That's why he sent it to me. He goes, I thought it was weird, he said, but now it's happening every day. So
maybe they're getting I can't think of the right word. They're getting accustomed to the colder water. They're
maybe.
Jeez.
Acclimating, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Anything else going on?
Not really. Like I said, fishing's been great. I was buried in the magazine all week, so I didn't really see much or do much. So I finished it and decided to take a few days off. So,
well, I well deserved because you did a great job on the magazine. Just while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to have Stephanie on in a little while. She's going to tell us a little bit about her latest thing down. She went down to one of the islands and was teaching some of the kids how to snorkel. Snorkel. I can't think of the word. Free dive. I think is what it's called.
She does a class now. She does classes, and I think that's awesome. She's a great lady. And we love having her in the magazine. And
I want to ask her when I have her on, how do you stay so calm? She's swimming around 2 big bull sharks, almost like an arm's length away from her. It's not like, the bull shark's 100 yards down, It's like literally an arm's length away from her. I don't know how she remains so calm and how the sharks don't attack. I don't get. I have to ask her about that when I get her on. It's crazy. It's crazy to see some of these pictures that she takes.
Yeah, it is. We love having her in the magazine. It's always
it's amazing.
The thing I think about Stephanie is whatever community she's in, they always try to find a way to give back to the community that they're in.
I really like that about her. She went to
a great thing, and
she went to one community and they caught a bunch of fish and she shared the fish with the local village there. I don't remember.
Yeah,
where
they do that just about everywhere they go.
Yeah.
It's a great group of people.
That's great. That's inspiring because all the junk that goes on today, that's inspiring. There are people out there who care about other people and will set an example. That's setting an example for other people. Think of a young child that sees someone like Stephanie, goes out there and does her thing and then comes back, and instead of keeping it all for herself, she shares it with everybody else. That's what an example for the younger crowd.
There should be more of those.
Amen. Absolutely. Well, I did take a look at your magazine, and I was very impressed. Again, you've outdone yourself. So congratulations. I think it's a jam-up job. It will, if you really want to read the magazine, it's going to take you some time because there's so much information. There are videos, there are pictures, there are stories, and very informative, very interesting, and another great job, Robert. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Great stuff by Sky Burkhart, who sent in a lot of stuff, a lot of content, and she's on the cover. Great young lady. Just some great stuff in there. Rebecca Bauman is in there. I don't know if anybody knows Rebecca. Rebecca, I actually met through fishing. I had no idea. I knew she was a fitness instructor and stuff. I had no idea she was in contests and all of that, but I guess she won the Miss Bikini World or something. I don't know.
Wow.
It's in the magazine. But she's a fitness, Miss Bikini Fitness, I guess is what it is for the United States. But I knew her from fishing, so I had no idea she did all of that. But there's an article in there. It's the many faces of Rebecca Bauman. I've got pictures of her doing everything but noodling from catfish, hunting, hiking, you name it, she does it. And
there are some
she's a
things.
Fitness instructor, and there's a link there to her her studio. So maybe it'll help her out and help her get some more business too. But she's a great lady.
There's some things in fishing I won't do. Noodling is one of them.
Well, I told her, I said, "Where are you?" And she said, "I'm in South Carolina." I said, "Well, we can't do that in Florida. You stick your arm in a hole in Florida, chances are you're not going to get it back." So,
goodbye.
Kapow.
That and this thing where they do it for the turtles too. Have you seen that? Where they go after the turtles? They go. I guess it's called noodling.
Snapping turtles.
Oh my gosh! This guy, I saw a video of this guy. He's in the water. It's probably maybe 2 or 3 feet. It looks very muddy, and he's just splashing and fighting, and it looks like he's fighting for the fight of his life. And he pulls up an alligator snapper. I mean, there's snapping turtles, and then you have alligator snappers. This thing was huge. It had to be 200 or 300 pounds, this thing. It would snap your arm off in a heartbeat. You're sticking your arm down in the mud and trying to get there. Oh, no, not for me. It ain't happening.
Yeah, no. I'll pass on that. So.
It ain't happening. And those catfish, there was a video I was watching with one of these guys noodling these catfish. He brought up a catfish that almost drowned him. This thing was like a couple hundred pounds, this thing. And he was fighting for his life for a few minutes there. That's not for me. I'd rather have the line and the hook.
Yeah, no.
Keep that distance.
Nope. Yeah.
And make sure I'm on top instead of in the water.
I agree. There's a reason they invented fishing tackle.
I'm there with both of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, we're up against the break. Before we go, Robert, one more time. People want to find the magazine. If people have a story that they want to send you, let's get that information out there.
If they have anything they want to send, whether it's a picture, articles, videos, fishing reports, whatever, send it to pages@flfishmag.com.
Excellent.
And the magazine
is at www.flfishmag.com.
Robert, thank you. I greatly appreciate it, my friend. I wish you a wonderful day. Enjoy it.
You too.
You say bye?
Oh, bye.
I'm looking at her going, say bye. All right, here we go.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Brittany's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny. Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate
We
it.
will not tolerate it.
Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day, people make me feel small.
Every day, I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day, people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the eye.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, we are back. It is the Fish Florida Show. Good morning to you. If you're just joining us and you missed any part of the show, we always have archives set up at www.fishfloridashow.com. You can go and look up past events, and you can find our archives there. This morning, I have Pam. I have my throat is what I have. I have Pam Worth. She's one of the top female kayak anglers here in the studio with me. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, sir. My pleasure to be here. I'm glad to join you and chat with all the folks.
This is some of the new stuff now that since I don't drink coffee in the morning, my throat gets a little wacky on me. Anyway, it is the Fish Florida Show. We are part of the Fish Florida Association. If you want more information about that, you can go online, look up Fish Florida Association. We have a Facebook page. You can go there and check it out. A lot of benefits to joining the association. My goodness, I don't even know where to start with all that. But a lot of benefits to joining the association. There's a lot of other business owners that you will be involved with, you'll be joining up with and teaming up with. And it's kind of a way for everybody to kind of pitch in and help themselves, help their business grow, help other people's business grow. You're part of an association where the first line of decision to make purchases would probably be within the association itself. Again, we have a free app, the Fish Florida app. You can download that absolutely free. And then, of course, the Fish Florida Association. Lots of benefits. I'll tell you a little bit more about that as the show goes on. Lots of benefits with the association. And you get to be part of the Fish Florida Show. This morning I have, let's see, our next guest is Betty Bauman. Good morning, Miss Betty. How are you, my dear?
Well, I'm fine. I was wishing I were fishing.
There you go.
It's a, west wind. They say, wind from the west, stay at rest. And then, for the other coast too, there's some scattered showers, or we would try that too. But usually if we do Chokoloskee, it gets a little sloppy if the wind's coming in from the west.
So where are you at?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, because I know you're all over the States. Are you fishing in Fort Lauderdale this morning?
No, because it's the west wind.
I see.
Well, it was yesterday anyway. Today we just decided to work on our next upcoming events.
And that is what?
Well, I have one in Tampa, and I'm looking forward to seeing Pam and some of the other great instructors. We've got Lisa Fitzgerald, Lori Deaton, Stacy Horak, some really, really, Alice Troutman, some famous, well-known ladies, and we have one guy too. So we have ladies already signing up.
Wow!
Because it's September 7th and the 8th at the Tampa Convention Center.
That's 4 weeks from now.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
I'll be there. And the list of captains and ladies you have there are probably the top anglers in the South. You have the top lady anglers in the South. So a lot of experience, a lot to learn, and we're very patient, and we keep things very, very basic. Thanks to Betty, nothing is and no question is a silly question. So we enjoy and encourage any question that you have in those classes. So thank you, Betty, for putting that on.
Well, thanks. And we're having it on a Saturday with fishing on a Sunday. And what I've found is a lot of ladies, take the seminar because it's different, and they have a chance to go fishing. So there's nothing better than go practice what you just learned.
Wow.
And it's inshore.
What I like about it is that you take them literally from A to Z, literally from how to something as simple as tie a knot on a hook to catch the fish and cook them from A to Z, all the way from one to the other. That's great.
Right. And, we have Rachel Nobby, and the guy is Stuart Ames. Well, it's not just me. It's the people like Pam and the kind instructors who take their time away from fishing to help others learn how to fish and also learn conservation. I put together, the curriculum, and the speakers are always fantastic. It's hard for us to find mostly lady speakers. We'll find them in the inshore areas, but for offshore, like our October 18th to the 20th seminar in the Keys, it's hard to find lady speakers, but I have found, Jeannie Town, she'll be speaking in Islamorada, and the same thing, that's with fishing, and they can pick a bonus day of fishing. And we're working on maybe Dar Sizzle.
Wow. Well, we have a mutual friend. I think you know her, Angelia Cognolito.
She would be
Coniglio.
awesome.
I always have a problem with that name, Coniglio. She's up in Alaska right now doing it. My gosh, what a lucky lady. I shouldn't say that. She deserves what she's got. She worked hard for it. Had a very, really neat, I call it a gig. She got to go to Alaska for the summer and experience Alaska up there, fishing and a wide variety of different things that are going on up there. She would be great if she's back here. And I don't know if
she'll be back, and she's based in Islamorada.
Oh, cool. Well, that'll work out perfect.
I'll have to check her out. It's Angelina.
Angelia.
Oh, there you go again.
Yeah. Angelia. I'll get you her contact info.
She's like the.
She's also known as the Florida Salty Cowgirl.
Oh, okay.
She's amazing. She's an amazing angler, very patient, top winning tournament angler also. She'd be a great asset.
Great, yeah. Well, we're still rounding up. We're looking for somebody to teach fly. And we do have Captain Melinda Buckley, who's coming down from Stewart. She came down last year. She's a self-made guide, and she'll be taking part in the inshore panel that we put on.
Great.
Because we do offshore and inshore in Islamorada.
Debbie Hansen does fly. She's over on the West Coast, like Fort Myers.
Yes, Debbie's doing great. She used to work here in the office.
I didn't know that.
Wow. So
she took one of our seminars years back, and it's so funny because it was like one of our early fishing experiences, and she fished off the pier and lost her rod overboard, and was so scared that her husband was going to yell at her. So we had one from the auction, and we said, okay, why don't you take this one, and we'll get you out of hot water.
Oh, my goodness.
Here's a brand new one.
Wow.
Yeah, and now she's a top guide, more so of freshwater. And
she's amazing. She
fishes
I
with
was
Crazy
in Treasure
Alberta
Key for a Treasure Key event, and was watching a George Pavaromo show, and I was like, There's Debbie. I can't believe it. There's Debbie fishing offshore, and she's a great personality and really has come to be quite the professional and a good role model.
Wow.
I'm very proud of Debbie.
Wow. Well, for those who don't know, Betty has this organization that she's put together. It's called Ladies Let's Go Fishing. You can find them online. And I mentioned earlier that she has people that work with ladies, will literally take them from A to Z, literally take them from how to hold a hook, how to tie the knot, how to catch the fish. Now you've caught the fish, how to clean the fish, and how to cook the fish. So there's not a whole lot left to question with someone like this. And she gives out, how many times a year do you do this, Betty?
I've lost count now. We have, our typical schedule is 4 to 5, but the last few years I've gone to like 8 to 10 events. I might even add one more this year.
Wow. So there's a wide variety of events going on throughout the year with Betty putting this stuff on for ladies. And if you're someone who has a friend, or if you have questions about fishing and you feel intimidated, you don't want to go out with the guys because the guys know it all and you don't know anything, that kind of thing, hook up with Betty. She'll get you right. She just told the little story about the lady who's now a professional. Started out, as an amateur, really isn't not knowing anything, and now she's a professional. So she can take you from being an amateur to a professional.
Yeah, well, what we do is we build the confidence. She's not the only one. We've had more, several ladies go into the career, and a lot of names you would know that, wanted to get into the business or wanted to get better into fishing, and they've taken it all away. So we're very proud to see how, so many ladies have developed and become either guides or are working in the fishing industry.
Wow.
They got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Debbie, if somebody wanted to, or Betty, if somebody wanted to find out more about you, how do they reach you? How do they see your seminar or listing of upcoming classes?
Well, thanks. It's all online at www.ladiesletsgofishing.com, and then they can call me. I'm in the office a lot, 954-475-9068, and they can email me through the website. We get tons of correspondence and questions from ladies, and also on Facebook, ladiesletsgofishing.com.
And there's never a question that is, they never consider a question silly or stupid. Any question is valid, and they make sure that you have a good understanding of what's going on. I know from having Pam as my co-host, and she's taught me, and I have never gone fishing with her. She's taught me. So I know that kind of mentality exists as well with the rest of the people that you have working with you there, that it's a teaching and educational kind of thing. No question is too silly or too stupid. And feel free to ask whatever you have, and we'll get you the answer, and we'll show you how to do it. This is what I like the most about this, Betty. In my experience of life growing up, it was really hinging on my mom when we would go fishing, because my mom loved to fish, and my dad loved to fish, and as a result, we did it as a family all the time. And I believe it was because of my mom's love for fishing that we did it as much as we did. Otherwise, I don't think we would have done it as often as we did. She was one of those that wasn't afraid to grab the hook, tie the hook, catch the fish, cook the whole 9 yards. And I would like to see other ladies. I know that the genuine interest in it from different people, but they feel intimidated because they don't know. It's a learning process. Though it's not complicated, it can be intimidating because there's things you don't know about. I never knew about circle hooks until I started doing the show. I'd seen them, but I didn't know what the purpose of them was. I didn't know that certain fish that you catch shouldn't come out of the water. I had no idea about that until I started doing the show.
People don't know that.
Yeah.
The cool part is having other like-minded people with you, and they're all in the same level, and they ask some great questions. Like, for instance, instead of tying all these knots to put the leader on, why don't you just wind the whole reel with the leader? And that's when we get into pound test and the thickness of the line, and it makes sense. Why not? But to somebody learning, I mean, that's a good question.
Yep. So you can find her online, www.ladiesletsgofishing.com. You can reach her at 954-475-9068 and hook up with her. And I promise you, I from the experience that I've had with this lady, you'll have a good time. It'll be an educational thing for you. But the most important thing is just really you can't put a price on someone teaching you something that's going to make a difference for you in the rest of your life. A way to enjoy, a way to relax, a way to have dinner.
And something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Well, Betty, thank you. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to call in, and I'll be looking forward to having you back on with more updates.
My pleasure.
Wish you a wonderful day, my dear.
Take care, my friend.
Thank you. Tight lines.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, my friends, don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show. We will be right back.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise! Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it. Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes, and all of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, like somebody's having a lot of fun. Oh, I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, we are back. It is the Fish Florida Show. Good morning to you if you're just joining us. And if you've missed any part of the show, we do archive the show at fishfloridashow.com. Go there and look up past events, and you'll find our archives are there. We are up to date, believe it or not. For a while there, I was a couple of weeks behind, but we are up to date. Up to last week has already been posted, so if you've missed anything from last week, you can find it there. There's several different ways you can listen to us. The easiest of all of those, of course, is the Fish Florida app. Absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can download the app and listen to us through the app. That, of course, is the easiest way. The next easiest way is if you're on a computer, you can go to www.fishfloridashow.com and go to Listen Live. Or if you're a Facebooker, you can go to our Facebook page and click on Contact Us, and you can listen live there. If you're not a computer person, if you're, for whatever reason you don't have access to a computer or you don't have access to the Internet, you can actually call to listen, 701-719-9704. Again, we make it as easy as we can for you to be able to listen to the show. The show is part of the Fish Florida Association, and the Fish Florida Association is a place where you can go and become a member and join in with other like-minded people, and the end result is more business for you, the ability for you to have access to a wide variety of different industries, and just a whole slew of advantages of being part of the association. To get more information about that, you want to go to, I think the easiest way to find them is go to Facebook. You can find the Fish Florida Association on Facebook, and email, or you can email me, actually. I'll have to get an email address for Victoria. Victoria is the one who, all of this is her baby. If it wasn't for Victoria, we wouldn't be here. The Fish Florida Show wouldn't exist. Fish Florida app wouldn't exist. The Fish Florida Association wouldn't exist. So a big thank you to Victoria for her hard work and trying to get everybody aligned. I know it's a rough job. You got 3 different groups of people, and you're trying to bring everybody in, and it can be a handful. So she does a good job. If you want more information, go online. Go to, I think the easiest way, again, is the Facebook Fish Florida Association. In the meantime, I have my next guest, who is going to be Captain James. Captain James is off the West Coast. Captain James, I think, works with my co-host Pam. Does he work with you, Pam?
Yes, he is. He's an assistant manager. Besides being a captain, probably one of the top captains in Tampa Bay, he does the work there as assistant manager at Tampa Fishing Outfitters.
Wow.
Hey, James.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, y'all.
Good to hear from you. I've seen some of the stuff that you've been posting. You guys, he's got a Facebook page and Instagram, and you've been on fish all the time. Lots of redfish.
Yeah, the redfish bite has been good as of late. It's always one of my favorite times of year in Tampa Bay. The redfish get real predictable. If you've patterned them over the years, and we've got some hot spots right now that are holding lots of fish, and we're having some good days with them.
That's great. Basically, when you say pattern them over the year, do you encourage people to turn around and log their fish, or keep a little bit? I know you've got it all in your head, but a novice, would you consider or tell them to keep some sort of a fishing log?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I'm finding all the success that I am today with those fish, is because over the years, you have these good days, and you look at the commonalities of those good days. So water temperature, tide, even water color, especially in certain parts of Tampa Bay with freshwater runoff, that can affect temperature greatly. So, I try to log all the conditions, or at least know all the conditions. And if I have a good day, try to return to that same scenario or find another scenario like it with similar conditions. So it's all very important, especially water height and water temperature this time of year. It's going to move fish around a lot, and it's also going to let you know when they're going to be most cooperative.
So,
Go ahead, Pam.
I was going to say, what temperature are you looking for?
So really, as cool as I can. I think I've been fishing almost every day this week, and in the mornings, before the sun even comes up, just on the ride out to get bait, I'm noticing that the average bay temperature has been about 88 degrees to start the morning. So it's probably reaching 89, close to 90 by noon, by lunchtime. So I'm really trying to escape that. So I've been running further north, closer to larger creek mouths, rivers, anywhere that's going to give some freshwater runoff, just to bring in a little bit cooler water, especially with the rain we've been having. So what I've been finding is, in the spots I'm doing best, I'm finding that 85, 86 degree water. So about 2 to 3 degrees cooler than I'd say the average bay temperature.
Okay. And when you're targeting, what kind of baits are you using, basically?
Well, there's really no wrong bait to use now. There's some folks I know that are having luck with shrimp. Putting a big split shot on a shrimp and on high water, tossing it up under the trees, that can work really well. Same thing with a cut bait. If you have access to a good piece of mullet or ladyfish or threadfin, that'll do the trick for redfish and snook alike. But for me, since I'm seeking out those cooler temperatures, I'm trying to find fish that have a little more energy in them, or they're a little more active. So I've been loading up on scaled sardines, pilchards, whitebait, greenbacks, and trying to take those up there and create a little bit of some excitement by bringing those to these places.
That's cool. Just to let the listeners know, James works really hard for his customers. He'll get up at before the crack of dawn and go out and throw his cat's net to make sure that you've got fresh, lively baits. And there's nothing that a redfish likes better than that. So he's got his tank loaded, his live well loaded when he comes to pick you up. But in Tampa Bay right now, we have a moratorium. You can catch a redfish, but you can't keep it. So if you have a charter of people who are actually looking for dinner, besides just having a great time catching an awesome fighting fish, what are you kind of doing?
Good question. We just did an article in the Bradenton Herald that should come out next week, and that was the subject of it exactly, is table fare with all the limitations we have. And that's this time of year, I think, is our best snapper fishing that you're going to see in Tampa Bay, especially the second half of summer. August, September, and even going into October. Each one of these moon phases is going to make the snapper fishing better and better. So mangrove snapper have probably been the go-to. Spanish mackerel is another one that over the last few years I've grown to enjoy a lot more. That's a cooperative fish right now, whether you're at the edge of some of the bigger grass flats or fishing the reefs. Spanish mackerel can be good too.
And they're a good fighting fish. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we caught a really big one yesterday, and the kid was going nuts just hearing that drag screaming.
And that's half the fun of fishing, is bringing that fish in.
Yeah.
So how are you targeting them?
So for each species a little bit different. So with Spanish mackerel, it's as simple as, if you're not somebody who wants to go in and catch bait, or you want to do it on artificial, I suggest getting a big silver spoon. I think this Johnson Sprite's a good one. There's plenty of options, but something you can cast well, and go out and find the bait pods throughout the bay, whether it's shallow, whether it's deep. Bait pods are usually going to be, and you can find those if you can't, cover a lot of ground with a boat. You can also look for birds, and just make long casts with that spoon into them. I'd probably say, if I was going to go out myself and just do it versus take clients out, that'd probably be the way I'd do it. Cover as much ground as possible, make long casts, big silver spoon. But if you're somebody who wants to go and get bait, you can do that as well. And, chum up above any really artificial reef inside Tampa Bay. If you chum near the surface, those mackerel are going to show up. Also around range markers that hold a lot of bait. You can do the same thing there and just free line live bait. I will recommend for Spanish mackerel, though, especially these bigger ones, you want to change your tackle up. And my preferred tackle is I use mono leaders, about 4-foot leaders. And I use 50-pound leaders. I beef it up to about 50 pounds, and I use a long shank J hook, anywhere from like a 1/0, 2/0. But it's got to have that 3 or 4 inch shank on it to limit your breakoffs. So that's really my macro tackle.
Okay, and basically, again, we have some novice listeners out there. A long shank is what do you mean by that, a long shank?
So a long shank J hook, what it is, it's your standard looking J hook at the bottom, but from the bend of the J hook all the way up to the eye where you tie your knot through, it's going to be significantly longer than your normal hook. So your normal hook might have 1 inch or 1.5 inches of shank, and that's the flat part that runs up the to the eye of the hook. And a long shank, it's going to be double or triple that. And I really say go as long as you can. And what that'll do is where the bait's going to be on your hook, that's where the fish is going to attempt to strike. But they move so fast, they cut through the water, that sometimes they miss it 2 or 3 inches above that bait. And you'll get broken off if you don't have a long shank hook. But the long shank hook, their teeth will run along the hook and prevent that break off.
Perfect. That's what I was getting to on why you use that hook. So people who don't know, mackerel are a very toothy little creature.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he's beefing up and using the long shank hooks. Now, you have a seminar coming up pretty soon, don't you?
Yeah, with some of the fellows that I do our show with. I think it's in September. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but we're doing a redfish seminar.
Oh, cool. So you're teaching people how to catch redfish? How neat is that?
Yeah. Just kind of share the knowledge out there. That way, everybody out there can have a better chance at a great time.
Cool. If you were going snapper fishing today, what would be a typical setup for you for snapper fishing?
All right, so I good question, Rascal. I like to fish light tackle. My philosophy in fishing's always been more bites, more opportunities, even if that means I lose a few. So how I like to target snapper is, medium to medium heavy spinning gear. And for me, that's all our redfish gear. So anywhere from probably, I'd recommend like a 4,000 size spinning reel, 15, 20 pound braid. Leader, that's really, I like to stay in that 20 to 30 pound class fluorocarbon range. So most days it's usually 25. That's what I usually have on for the flats. And a smaller hook. I like the Mustad Demon Perfect Circle 1/0 size hook, and the Mustad circle hooks seem to be a little bit smaller in size compared to some of the others. So that 1/0 is my go-to. And then from there, it really depends on depth and current. We target these fish in anywhere from 10 to 12 feet of water, all the way up to 30 to 35 feet of water. And depending on how fast that current's moving and how deep that water is, that's going to dictate how big of a split shot I'm going to add into that rig. So I carry size 1 split shots, which are about the heaviest. And I want to say that's about a 3/8 ounce weight, all the way down to a number 7. Which is probably a 32nd of an ounce. And the reason I do that is because my style of fishing and my style of chumming there is I'll go out and catch a lot of the fry bait, which is our smaller bait that you're going to find on the flats throughout the second half of summer, hatch bait, and use that as the chum. And then what we like to do is we like to take one of those dead ones and slide it down with that chum with barely any weight so that it just rides down with the chum cloud. And those snapper just eat it right up.
I'm learning. I like that idea. Yeah, it's almost like a camouflage as it goes down, right? It's almost acting like because you're dropping it with everything else.
Yep, and you said that camouflage. That's exactly why, Pascal, because snapper, probably of any game fish that you're going to target in Tampa Bay, probably have the best eyesight. And one of the things I mentioned in my article for the Bradenton Herald is I hide the hook. So when my clients are done with a bait, I'm the one putting the bait on, and I like to go through the eye, out the back of the skull, and then pull the hook all the way through to where the knot of the hook is actually inside the bait fish, and the hook's just barely hanging out, and I lay it flat along the bait before I slide it down, just to give it less profile and make it as camouflage as you can, if you will.
Now, I take it that you're a guide as well. I know that you work with Pam, but I also think he's a guide, right? You're a guide as well?
Captain James is a top guide.
Yeah. So, and if people want to be able to utilize your services, how do they do that, Captain?
Easy. Thanks for asking, Rashal. My business name is Local Knowledge Fishing Adventures, and you can find me on the internet on the website, which is localknowledgefishing.com. Or you can reach out to me directly. It's 813-625-2067. And on Facebook at Local Knowledge Fishing Adventures. That's my Facebook page.
I greatly appreciate you taking time to share with us this morning, my friend. I wish you a wonderful day.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Yeah, same to you guys. That's always a pleasure.
I know Sunday is the day you spend with your family, so thank you again for
my kind of guy. My kind of guy.
Yep. You got it. No fishing today.
Enjoy it, my friend.
Get
God
the
bless
kids ready
you.
for the first day of school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah, first day of school tomorrow. All right, here we go.
Kindergarten, middle school.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names. I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying, that's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle the situation. Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
Thinking of moving? Before you do anything else, call Diane Whittick of Bauman Realty. She provides a concierge service. Things like having your home or condo packed and shipped, even take care of your home repairs or upgrades. Diane has the expertise to get it done. As a seller, you will have constant contact. She will furnish you with bids on any services that might need completion: air conditioning, plumbing, handyman, and even cleaning. Living up north and have a home to sell here in South Florida? Just give her the keys, address, and a signature. Your payment will be wired when the property is sold. That's right, Diane does it all. Thinking of buying? Diane has great listening skills. Tell her what you want, give her your budget, and like a genie, she will make your real estate wish come true. There's no regrets when you choose Diane Whittick of Bauman Realty. To reach Diane, call 561-247-5478. That's 561-247-5478. Diane Whittick at Bauman Realty, located in Wellington at Wellington Trace East and Forest Hill Boulevard. 561-247-5478.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Do you have an unusual pet? Did you know that the Rainforest Clinic in Loxahatchee specializes in exotic pets? They see pets that other vets don't. Parrots and chickens, ducks, geese, turtles, snakes, goats, pigs, lizards, and even monkeys. Are you a beekeeper? Dr. Clubb, the first of her kind in the area? Yes, she takes care of bees as well. Dr. Susan Clubb has decades of experience and known around the world for her reputation as a premier avian vet. Located at 3319 E Road in Loxahatchee, just a short distance north of Okeechobee Road, you will find a modern clinic with in-house labs, which allow you to get your test answers quickly. You can find them online at www.susanclub.com. That's www.susanclub.com. Or you can reach her at 561-795-4878. It's Dr. Susan Clubb. That's 561-795-4878. The Rainforest Clinic located in Loxahatchee, 561-795-4878.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, my friends, we are back. It is the Fish Florida Show, an honor and a privilege to have you listen in. And we've had quite a few interesting things happening this morning, talking about a wide variety of things. I really enjoyed Captain Beers sharing with us exactly how he's catching snappers. This is a professional who has been doing it for many years. If you're somebody who's not familiar with how to do it, he just gave you the secret on how to do it. And this morning, I am extremely lucky this morning because I have Pam in the studio with me this morning. So welcome back, Miss Pam.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always a good time. And it's really a lot more fun being here with you.
Well, it's, we get to see each other instead of I see a number on my board. I see her sitting next to me. All right, so our next guest is Stephanie Lynn. Stephanie is an amazing young lady. This is the lady I was speaking about earlier who really doesn't have any qualms, is swimming with sharks. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you, my dear?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming back on the show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
So you just did something down in one of the islands. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just got back from spending 3 weeks down in the Bahamas. I was living on a sailboat, a 65-foot sailboat with 16 teenagers, and we were free diving. I was teaching them how to free dive and spearfish, and really just the whole ocean to table lifestyle, sustainable harvest, all of that. So it was a lot of fun. Some people think I'm crazy for spending 3 weeks with 16 teenagers, but they were actually amazing young adults. So it was a great time.
You still sane? You still have your sanity?
I think I do, yeah. So far, so good.
I don't know, 16 teenagers,
oh my goodness.
Is that kind of like trying to corral cats?
Kind of, yeah, absolutely. And I was in charge of them from the entire time, so sunrise to sunset. So it was like having 16 children, all between the ages of 12 and 19.
Never a dull moment.
They're so impressionable at that age and passionate and driven, and having them have these experiences was really cool to share in that and be part of it.
Well, when you start them out, what are some of the, for parents out there maybe that have teenagers, what are some of the first steps that you do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So with freediving in particular, the main focus is safety. So just teaching them what their body's going through, the physiology of breath holding exercises and skills and techniques, but then how to respond if anything were to happen. So especially for the kids who are younger, who might push it a bit, just making sure that they understand the severity of what could happen if they don't follow the rules of safety. And then when it comes to spearfishing, sustainable harvest and the ocean to table lifestyle, it's really first about fish identification. One of my proudest moments on the trip was two 16-year-old boys came swimming up to me and said, Steph, we just saw an awesome Nassau grouper, but he was not shootable. Nassau grouper are an endangered species, and we passed on them, even though he was going to be delicious. We passed on him, and he can go reproduce now and produce more grouper. And they were so excited about the fact that they saw a fish like they could shoot, but chose not to. So really teaching them that whole mentality of identifying the fish, but also that we're not out there to kill everything. We want to create a sustainable environment so that there's fish for our kids too. So that's what I would say for teenagers. It's really just about safety and education and bringing them up the right way so that they can pass that on to the next generation.
That is great.
That's amazing.
So I want to ask you, again, you posted a couple of pictures with you guys swimming with sharks in them.
Yes.
And they look like bull sharks. Are they bull sharks?
Yes, well, when we were in the Bahamas, there were quite a bit of reef sharks and a couple lemon sharks. And then when I returned to Florida, when I'm here, I teach freediving courses, and I've started doing shark education dives. I've partnered up with Shark Addicts in Jupiter, Florida. And what we'll do is I teach people to freedive and then let them have the opportunity to go do some shark diving. So we dove with bull sharks, silky sharks, sandbar, reef sharks, and let people have those interactions, and that's been a lot of fun. One of my most recent students had never snorkeled before, had never put a mask on, had never worn fins, and within 2 days he's in 300 feet of water surrounded by 12 bull sharks having the time of his life. So it's really life-changing experiences for people of all ages.
Why? Okay, so I know this is going to be kind of a facetious kind of question, but I've got to ask this. How is it that you're in the water with these sharks that are known to be man-eaters and they're known to attack, but you're in the water with them and they seem very docile? What's the deal?
Right. So with sharks, we're actually not on their food chain at all. We're not on their radar. We're not a tasty meal to them. They don't like the taste of us. So with sharks, most shark bites or shark attacks that happen are because of confusion. They don't know that they're actually biting humans. It happens at the beach where the water's all stirred up. They're hunting bait fish, and they come up, and most of the time they're biting humans on the legs. They take one bite and they swim away because they don't want to eat us. They've mistakenly identified us as a bait fish, and then once they take a bite, they realize, oops, that's not something I want to eat. So when you're in clear water face-to-face with these sharks, it's actually a very magical moment. It's of mutual respect and curiosity and education, and these sharks aren't aggressive towards humans in any way.
I'd be changing my underwear. I'm sorry. My gosh.
It's something everybody should experience. I'll take you out one day.
Now, let me ask you a question. To get the sharks around you, do you bait them in any way, or do you go down to their natural habitat and find them?
So most of the time when I'm in Florida, I'm spearfishing, and we'll see sharks just swimming around. When we do these shark education, shark encounter dives, they do put chum into a bait crate, and they'll hang that off the back to have a scent to bring the sharks around. But I'm not big on the feeding, so there's no feeding aspect to it. It's a bit controversial because they are somewhat like dogs in the sense that if you treat them, they're going to start to expect that every time they see humans, they're going to get a treat. They're going to get some food. And I don't like that association of having humans be supplying the food at all. So that's my take on
or even start to associate food with people.
Completely. Especially me, I'm spearfishing. I can tell that the sharks are expecting food. They come right in. We haven't shot a fish. There's nothing in the water, and they're coming right in like a dog would for a treat. And that is, in the future, I foresee that creating problems.
Yeah, I can see where that becomes dangerous at that point because they would almost become aggressive after going after the. It's like my dog is food aggressive. You get near him when he's eating, it's the end of the world. Don't get near him when he's eating. So I'm sure a similar thing with the sharks. They get food aggression.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Well, I know that one of the things I so much enjoy about you is that you give back, you give back, you give back. I know one of the things that you do when you go to these places and you're experiencing, like you spent this time with these teenagers, you took some of the fish that you speared and you shared it with the local people, right?
Yes, always. It's really exciting for me. I really enjoy that because a lot of the places we're going are off the grid, off the map. It's kind of uncharted territory, and the locals are hand lining really small fish from the reefs. And so for us to be able to spear some decent sized fish and go provide it to the locals, it's just being able to give back and thank them for sharing their homelands with us and their environment and their fish, and to be able to go and have those experiences and give back kind of comes full circle for me.
See, that to me is an example of the way things could be on this planet, where people just get along with people and they help each other out and everybody has a good time. Those are the kind of things I like to promote, and the mentality that you portray one of responsibility, one of understanding, one of knowing what is going on in your environment. These are all important, especially for somebody who's going to spend any time in the water. What I like is your idea of teaching these kids. You don't have to shoot every fish that you see. You don't have to kill we don't have to have every fish that you see. And to have that discretion between, okay, you know what, like you pointed out, we didn't get this grouper. We could have, but we didn't because we felt it was more important to leave the fish here. That kind of stuff is really what benefits everybody. And I'm part of everybody. That's why I push. That's why I push this. That's why I support these kind of things. CCA of Florida, Oceanaid 360. These are all people who help clean up the water. And what does that do? It benefits everybody. I'm part of everybody. When we have someone, I think what really impresses me the most about you is your ability to teach other people. This is one of the heartstrings that I have, is to share your knowledge with other people that you have and reduce the learning curve so that it's minimal, and then people begin to enjoy what they're doing. To spend the time that you have with these other kids, it's something you'll never get back. The time that we have here on this planet, nobody knows how much we've got. You can have all the money in the world, but you don't know how much time you got. When you take your time and you spend it with somebody else and you share with them and teach them and give them knowledge that can literally help them for the rest of their life, that to me is a heartstring. That's the kind of things that I like to promote and bring forth and put out in the spotlight. There are people out there like Stephanie who are willing, and people like Betty who are willing to spend time with you, willing to teach you, willing to show you the ropes, so that the learning curve is minimized and that the enjoyment comes in much faster. These are the kind of things I like to promote. The picture of you swimming with these two sharks was extremely amazing. I don't know. You look like you're literally an arm's length away from them. How far away were you from the sharks?
Yeah, so that was a trip that I did with an underwater photographer. His name's Andre Musgrove. He's a local Bahamian. But we went to Bimini and swam with the hammerhead sharks, and they were within arm's distance a couple times. They actually came within, and I redirected their faces away. But that was a really fun trip, really fun experience. We saw hammerheads, tiger sharks, bull sharks, reef sharks.
Amazing.
And that we did a just shark education video that Andre put together. It's on his YouTube channel, Andre Musgrove. Yeah.
Have you ever had one of them come right up to you and like nudge you or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Sharks are very, very curious, and so especially in certain areas in the Bahamas where they've been doing shark diving for over 20 years, the sharks are, I hate to use the word domesticated, but they are very familiar with humans, and they're very curious about us. So they'll come right in, and not in an aggressive way, almost like a dog would come in to check you out. It's the same exact thing. And so with sharks, there's a couple posts on my social media of me redirecting a shark. It's just simply they come in, and you put your hand on top of their head or on their nose, and you just gently push down and away. And then once you kind of have that interaction and they swim away and they realize that what you are and that you've almost established dominance in that situation, you've made eye contact, you didn't back down. At that point, you're the dominant one, and they don't bother you at all after that.
You put your hand on their head.
I would use a stick, a very, very long stick.
I would love to bring all of you with me on a shark dive. I think just having that experience, once you experience it, I know it sounds a bit crazy, the whole process, but once you have that experience and do it and have that interaction, that firsthand encounter, it's really hard to describe it until you've had that experience.
Wow.
And after you realize that there is no fear, there is no aggression in those situations. It really is just mutual curiosity and respect with a top predator.
You've had them come up to you. I just want to make sure I understand. I'm seeing this in my mind and literally freaking out. You've had them come up to you. Now, mind you, for those of you who are listening, she's not wearing tanks. She's snorkeling. Okay, so there's a limited amount of time that she can be down there. So this thing swims up to her and she puts her hand on it and pushes it away. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
Yep.
So if people want
not that they would do they would swim right into you. But not that they would do anything. You don't necessarily even have to do that, but it's almost just they're coming into you and just establishing personal space and letting them know who's boss of it.
And I know you're on Facebook. If people want to find out more about Stephanie Lynn, what's the best way to do that?
Yep. Yeah, the two best places, I have an Instagram account. It's at FreediverSteph. And then I also have a Facebook page, Stephanie Lynn. So either of those, and I'm currently working on a website, so once I get that up and running, I'll share that information with you as well. But yeah, I'm really focused on, like you said, the education aspect, so training people for free diving, shark education, spearfishing, and a lot of travel to the islands. And I'm starting to do more travel into Central South America and Indonesia and all over the world. So
God bless you.
It's just begun.
And I know that I may be mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you got involved as well as real estate. Are you doing real estate as well?
Yes, yeah. So I was born and raised here in Stuart, Florida, on the Treasure Coast, and had my real estate license 4 years ago in Orlando, and I just moved back home recently to the Stuart area and decided to start doing real estate again. So I have a little condo that I use as a vacation rental. I'm hoping to get a couple more, and any family or friends or anybody out there who needs some help, especially with waterfront properties, that's something I'm dabbling in as well.
Cool. Stephanie, thank you. You are definitely someone who is inspiring to me, at least in my opinion. A lot of the younger generation don't get a good report, if you will. And when I see someone like you that does what you do, it's very inspiring. It gives me a lot of hope, because what you're doing is like a ripple effect in a pond. You know, it's one little pebble that's thrown in the pond, but then you see all of these waves that occur because of this one little pebble. And that's what I see happening with you. You're making impressions in all of these different lives, positive impressions, which is what we really need today more than ever. Thank you for taking time to call in. Let me get Pam to say goodbye to you. Go ahead, Pam.
Yeah, thank you again, Stephanie, but I'm still going with a really long stick.
Deal. That can be done.
All right, my dear. Wish you a wonderful day, and I'll be looking forward to having you back on, and we'll get some updates as well. Enjoy.
Great. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. All right, my friends, it's that magic moment. Here we go.
Listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names.
I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying, that's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle situations. Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
Thinking of moving? Before you do anything else, call Diane Whittick of Bauman Realty. She provides a concierge service. Things like having your home or condo packed and shipped, even take care of your home repairs or upgrades. Diane has the expertise to get it done. As a seller, you will have constant contact. She will furnish you with bids on any services that might need completion: air conditioning, plumbing, handyman, and even cleaning. Living up north and have a home to sell here in South Florida? Just give her the keys, address, and a signature. Your payment will be wired when the property is sold. That's right, Diane does it all. Thinking of buying? Diane has great listening skills. Tell her what you want, give her your budget, and like a genie, she will make your real estate wish come true. There's no regrets when you choose Diane Whittick of Bauman Realty. To reach Diane, call 561-247-5478. That's 561-247-5478. Diane Whittick at Bauman Realty, located in Wellington at Wellington Trace East and Forest Hill Boulevard. 561-247-5478.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Do you have an unusual pet? Did you know that the Rainforest Clinic in Loxahatchee specializes in exotic pets? They see pets that other vets don't. Parrots and chickens, ducks, geese, turtles, snakes, goats, pigs, lizards, and even monkeys. Are you a beekeeper? Dr. Clubb, the first of her kind in the area? Yes, she takes care of bees as well. Dr. Susan Clubb has decades of experience and known around the world for her reputation as a premier avian vet. Located at 3319 E Road in Loxahatchee, just a short distance north of Okeechobee Road, you will find a modern clinic with in-house labs, which allow you to get your test answers quickly. You can find them online at www.susanclub.com. That's www.susanclubb.com. Or you can reach her at 561-795-4878. It's Dr. Susan Clubb. That's 561-795-4878. The Rainforest Clinic located in Loxahatchee. 561-795-4878.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Shark, fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, we are back. It is the Fish Florida Show. Good morning to you if you're just joining us. And if you've missed any part of the show, we can make that up to you. And the way we can do that is if you go to fishfloridashow.com, look up past events, you will find our archives there. So anything that you've missed, there's always an archive set up. You can go back and hear it again. This morning, special treat for me this morning, I have Pam Worth, one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. She's actually in the studio with me. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I am full of caffeine, unlike you.
And she was involved in the Extreme Kayak Fishing Tournament yesterday. And that was one heck of an experience, I'm sure.
That was a lot of fun. We had over 100 kayakers out there. The current was ripping. That was the toughest thing. Just trying to keep south and not get pushed up to, Palm Beach from Pompano.
Man. Well, let's see. We have our next guest who is, he's on the line with us. This is Ray Markham, and I think he's on the West Coast. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning. How are you doing, Riscala?
Doing good, my friend.
How are you, Ray?
Great. How you doing, Pam?
Hey, I love your Rays report, and we're talking baseball there, guys, not stingrays.
Riscala, let me straighten out the record about something. You kind of introduced Pam as a female angler. Yes, she is a female angler, but she is absolutely one of the best anglers on the west coast of Florida, and she's getting around all over the place. So if you get a chance to go listen to her, if she gets to spout out where, when, why, and how she does what she does, I think you'll learn something.
Oh, you're a sweetie. Thank you so much, sir.
I've already learned a whole bunch from her. There are a whole bunch of things I've learned from her. Again, I don't pretend to know it all. When I started doing the show, I was very upfront with people. We're not doing a show for professionals. We're really doing a show for just normal, average people who want to go fishing and may not know everything that there is to know about. You're going to target a specific species. Well, there's a way that you can do that. You can raise the odds of you catching that species by doing certain things. That's the kind of stuff that I like to do. And we just did that with the last guy that was on Captain Beers, who was explaining us how he goes out and gets snappers, for example. So it's for guys and gals that they're really not professionals. They just want to have more information. What's available? What else can I do? Other people's ideas on how they deal with catching species and things of that nature. So that's really what I enjoy doing. I'm always learning, always learning. And I'm ever so grateful for people like you that call in and teach, share.
Well, I think it's interesting. You bring up a really good point. When you get to a point where you decide you know everything, you don't.
Yeah.
Because here's something that I've learned over the years, and I've had a field testing business now for over 40 years. And I've read a lot of books that professional anglers, whether they be tournament anglers or commercial fishermen or whatever, have written. And they come up with what they think are like rules, things, this is how you do it and this is why you do it. While I think those rules apply for certain situations, I don't believe any rule that I've ever come across is hard and fast. And, when guys used to tell me, if you're going to fish topwaters, you got to fish them low light situations, before sunrise, right after sunset. Certainly they were probably better, but some of the biggest fish I've ever caught were caught in broad daylight, middle of the day, lousy tides, you name it. And, when fish are going to eat, they're going to eat. So that's just my take on the whole thing. So when I go listen to somebody speak at a seminar, I don't try and go in thinking that, well, I know more than they do or anything else, because you can always learn something from somebody.
Amen.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of pays to listen.
Yeah. I love when people say don't use topwaters all day or whatever, because me, that's the first.
That's her favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing more exciting. But speaking of exciting, you turn around and target one of my favorite fish ever. You target tarpon, but the smaller versions. We kind of on the West Coast call them juvie tarpon. And the unique thing about you, Ray, that I love is that you use artificials. You don't use live bait.
Correct.
So this is the first. This is the first I've heard of this, going after the smaller. Because when people talk tarpon to me, I'm thinking of these big fish, these big, 50, 60, 80, 90 pound. This is the first I've heard of going after the little guys. So this is going to be very interesting. Go ahead, Ray.
It's not that I don't target big tarpon. And typically if somebody books a charter with me, they want to target big fish. Once in a while, I'll get somebody who's probably fished their whole lives, probably caught all the big tarpon they really care to. And I mean, if you catch some really big tarpon, you probably don't want to catch more than one at a time, on a day, because they're pretty exhausting.
They'll wear you out.
It takes a couple hours.
Yeah.
But the thing is that different times of the year, you'll find juvenile tarpon in backcountry areas. And conditions for me to fish my flats boat on the beaches where I'm usually targeting larger fish, or perhaps out in the middle of Tampa Bay, around the Skyway Bridge or something like that, or somewhere down around Bean Point or wherever it is that you're in open water conditions. And number one, you always have to pay attention to the individual anglers that you have on your vessel. Number one is safety. And if it gets to a point where you're fishing an area where the water conditions get rough, you have swells coming in from offshore, there's a west wind, and the conditions don't allow that person to stand on your boat safely, you don't want to do that. Yeah. You don't want to put anybody in harm's way. So as a charter captain, the number one responsibility for you is safety of the people on your vessel. So that's why I really like targeting backwater tarpon. They're not tons and tons of areas around that you're going to find them all the time. But if I were to start looking for areas that I want to fish tarpon, number one, I'm going to look for maybe some areas that might have an influx of some fresh water. I might also look for tannin stained water, which typically when we've had heavy rains, recently a lot of water comes out of the mangroves. And after it has a chance to sit in the mangroves for a day or two, it's like brewing tea. All the detritus, the fallen leaves and things like that decay actually turn to like a tea stain colored water that surrounds all this product. And when the tides start moving, it changes the water color to a kind of a tea color or coffee colored water, just depending on, how much there is and how long it's been sitting there. But the point being is that this kind of scenario usually is the kind of scenario that I'm looking for juvenile tarpon in. If I had to choose one bait only to say that I think these fish look for, it's probably a combination of either glass minnows or killifish. And when I think of glass minnows, I think of a nickname some people gave it a long, long time ago called rain minnows. If you're fishing around the edges of a mangrove area that perhaps is a creek outflow or maybe a river area that at the mouth of a river or something like that, and you see something dimpling on the surface, that they're tiny, tiny little minnows, like glass minnows. So that's one of the things I look for. There's several lures that I use that I think are exceptional. And by several, I don't mean to say that these are the only ones, but I found the mirror lure Mirrodines work really well on fish anywhere from 10 to 20 or 30 pounds. I mean, I've caught 120, 130 pound tarpon on Mirrodines as well, but it's not saying that these are the only sizes. But what works well, the 17 MR Mirrodines work really well. That's a specific size. That's one of the smaller ones. They make smaller ones than that. I'm fishing a DOA Terrorize.
Any particular color?
Pardon me?
Any particular color on the Terrorize?
On the Terrorize, I like pearl. Okay. They also have a glow color that works very well. They have a pearl with a green back and a kind of a red throat that works well. All those colors work really well. And it's, to me, kind of, if I'm in really, really, really dark water, I'll throw one of two things more often than not. I'll throw either the glow or I'm going to throw root beer with gold glitter. Oh. If I'm fishing the other coast over by Stewart or someplace, and those areas over there are lots of areas in backwaters that have juvenile tarpon up to, say 30 or 40 pounds. And they will eat the fool out of tarpon. Over in that area, the root beer color with gold glitter seems to be one of the most productive. And my other choice would be, like I said, glow in the dark. But all those work well. Now, there are times when a DOA shrimp, either a 2 3/4 ounce, which is a slightly faster sinking shrimp model. It's the newest of the models that they have. Or the regular 3-inch shrimp that was probably the original bait that Mark Nichols came up with. And I would throw those baits. Again, color preference. The gold with glow is an exceptional producing color. The straight glow is a very good color. And if I had to choose another color, I would probably again be root beer. So root beer with gold glitter. All of those work very well. Now, if I'm going to slightly larger fish, like a 30 to 40 pound tarpon, I'm going to look and see what's in the area. And if I see mullet schooling or jumping, especially if I'm seeing jumping fish, I'm going to throw a DOA bait buster. Now, if I'm not throwing the DOA bait buster, my other choice that has been one of my all-time most productive baits artificially for tarpon would be the MirrorLure Catch 2000. And again, the Catch 2000, I'm looking at several natural colors that I've had real good success with, like the 18 color. I mean, I know 18 is a number, but I mean, if you look at their color patterns, 18 is a green back, white belly, and silver sides. If I had to do a second choice, I would probably choose chartreuse. They have a chartreuse fluorescent, and they also have a chartreuse with gold sides.
Chartreuse.
Those baits.
That's interesting.
Yes. Well, chartreuse is always one of my most productive colors in most any kind of lure. It just works well. But there's lots of little things you can do. A lot of these areas that I'm finding juvenile tarpon in will be in backwater areas that have some good depth to it. anywhere from, so let's say about 8 to 10 feet deep. Sometimes it's a little deeper than that, but a lot of times you'll see these fish roll. And that's all you're going to see is a slight flash. Now, some of these fish are only a foot or 2 feet long. So it's not like you're going to look for something rolling and rolling and rolling like a 6 or 7 foot tarpon that you see out along the beaches. But you'll see a slight flash. I love fishing low light periods early in the morning. And I'll fish the areas that I think there's going to be fish at. If I can, I'll get towards the eastern side. As the sun starts coming up and these fish start to roll, all you're going to see is a little bit of a flash. And with the light coming up from the east, shining towards the west, you're going to see a real quick little flash. If you really kind of want to cheat, there's some things you can do to cheat. I mean, I'm a purist when it comes to fishing and catching fish and throwing artificial baits to fool them rather than feed them. But if you're new at this and you want to maybe increase your odds of having better opportunities to hook up, you can use various kinds of chum. One of the best I found is a local company over here in St. Petersburg. They've been around longer than I have, and that's quite a while. So Aylesworth Fish and Bait Company, who operates here in St. Petersburg, but they're pretty much all over the U.S. They ship everywhere, but they have frozen chum blocks that are exceptional. For the guy that just, you don't have the means to keep a chum block frozen or whatever, and, in the case that they don't use it, if you don't use it, you lose it because it kind of spoils after a while if you don't keep it frozen. There are other opportunities that you can use a chum for. There's a company called Aquatic Nutrition. Guys, I think, are also pretty local around here. They make a variety of different kinds of chum. One of them that I find works real well is something called Flats Magic. If you're into tipping baits and things like that, they have another one called the Mojo Ultimate Saltwater Bait. These things they remind me of Gravy Train. They're almost like a soft pellet. And if you want to put it on a jig head or, tip a jig with it, you can take a piece of it and stick it on there. Adds a little scent to it. I'm not huge on scents all the time, but I know in certain situations it does work and it does help get fish together.
Now,
and I know you mentioned something.
I kind of want to go back to that question on tarpon. If you see them roll, okay? I've seen them roll. Where do you throw your bait? Do you just, if you're using lures, do you throw it where the fish went down? Do you throw it behind them, in front of them? How do you know where to throw it? I think that's the question I get asked the most.
That's a really good question because, sometimes tarpon roll because the oxygen level in the water is not very good, okay? Because tarpon, one of the few fish that have lungs and air bladders and gills and whatnot. So they when they roll, they can engulf air. Okay. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times if you watch right where that fish rolls, if you're close enough to where they're rolling, watch and see if there's a bubble trail. And if the water is calm enough, you may see a bubble trail that goes away from that fish in the direction that they were rolling towards. If that's the case, you can throw your bait in front of them and lead them a little bit and just let the bait fall. Little action on the bait sometimes is better than trying to make it wiggle and do the things that you think that bait fish and crustaceans and whatever do. I didn't mention the DOA softshell crab, but that's another excellent bait. But I'll find those work better in shallower areas where I'm fishing that bait on the bottom because you don't find a lot of crabs that are moving unless you're fishing around new and full moons, which kind of brings something else up to mind. We have a full moon coming up this Thursday. Outgoing tides late in the afternoon are the strongest tides of the day generally. And when that occurs, you'll find that a lot of bait fish, a lot of shrimp and crabs that can't really swim against the current that gets stronger during the late afternoon period, that these baits will just kind of go with the flow. when you get in an area where, especially a backcountry area where you see water flooding out of it, it's going to increase in velocity because most of those areas kind of have small openings. And where those small openings are that might go out into the bay or something like that, that water current is going to be moving a little stronger. So if that does happen, you might take a look at the surface of the water and see if you're seeing floating grass, some kind of floating weeds, floating leaves, things like that. Those are kind of tide rips. And typically those are areas that are a little deeper, and those are the areas that are going to hold those fish. So if you throw, for instance, like the crab, up current with the tide or the DOA shrimp, the 3-inch DOA shrimp, and just let it drift with that current, it's going to look the most natural for a presentation. And if a fish is in that area, they're probably going to grab it. But I heard you guys mention something earlier, and over here in my area, in the West Central Florida area, FWC has closed down snook trout and redfish tentatively through the beginning of next year, around March or so. But maybe it's May, I don't recall right offhand, but still, I've just kind of put it out of my mind that I'm not targeting these fish to take. But anyway, somebody mentioned snapper. And this time of year, and things are a little bit later, I think, this year right now. Usually the full moon in July is one of my best months for producing mangrove snapper because they're schooling up and spawning, and they move inshore. So I'm finding mangrove snapper well up inside the bay. I'm finding them at the mouth of the bay, on any kind of rock pile, even on nearshore artificial reefs offshore. And obviously, I think the majority of the inshore fish are going to be smaller, but you'll find mangrove snapper inside Tampa Bay that are pushing 3, 4, 5 pounds sometimes.
Sweet.
The Skyway Bridge around the abutments, all the pilings and whatnot there's typically a lot of rock formations they've dumped there that are excellent habitat for mangrove snapper. There are spots around the bay that have a lot of hard bottom, and it could be limestone ledges, and even on the edges of the shipping channel coming in from Egmont Key, all the way up inside Tampa Bay, whether it be going all the way to Port Tampa, going to Port Manatee, all those areas, those big deep channels that, that were kind of dug out for shipping, have rocky ledges on them. Some areas in Tampa Bay hold big rock piles where when the original Skyway Bridge was partially torn down in the center, they eliminated all the structure that was there, but they had some place that they needed to go dump all the debris. So there are various rock piles within Tampa Bay, on the fishing piers, which are the old Skyway Bridge approaches. In those particular instances, those run kind of perpendicular to the bridges out there, or I say the bridges, the piers now, the north and south fishing piers. But you're going to find tarpon, you're going to find mangrove snapper all around those areas right now. And one of the things that I really like doing, and I know I mentioned mostly tarpon, but speaking of, for those guys that, snook trout and redfish are the prime targets most of the year, and they can't really take anything home. If you got a guy that wants to go get some fish, I don't think there's a whole lot better eating fish than mangrove snapper.
Yep.
True.
And so I'll take a DOA shrimp and fish these hard bottom areas. And one thing that I will say with regard to fishing artificials versus live bait, and I hear it all the time, the guys that fish live bait, oh, you can't catch those fish on that. They only eat live bait, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can lure fish away from an area with chum. Okay? I've seen guys that kind of creep, if you will. I'm fishing an area and maybe catching a few fish, and they see me catching some fish, and they pull in and maybe anchor up 50 yards away from me, which, And on a good case day, I mean, almost any day, I can hit them with a lure cast from my boat. It gets that close sometimes, which, I don't think that's really ethical. But I mean, for them to come in that close, but that's another story for another time.
Well, Ray, we are out of time on this slot, and I just want to say thank you. I'm going to have you back on, give us an update. I appreciate you sharing with us, but I'm completely out of time. Let me give Pam an opportunity to say goodbye to you. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it, my friend.
Ray, real quick, how does somebody reach you?
Very carefully. You can. I can be reached a number of different ways. I have a website, Captain, spelled out CAPTAIN, Ray Markham, MARKHAM.com. Or I have a couple of different cell phones that I can be reached on. Area code 941-723-2655. Or my actual business phone, which is 941-228-3474, and that number spells catfish.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Wish you a wonderful day. I would like to spend more time with you, but I'm completely out. Thank you again.
No problem. You guys have a great Sunday.
Appreciate it, my friend. All right, we're going to bypass the commercials because we've run so long, and I did want to give him an opportunity. He shares a lot of really good information.
He's been around a long time. He knows the area, and not just Tampa Bay. He fishes both coasts.
So a lot of great information. If you've missed any of it, you can always catch up on the archives. You can find the archives at fishfloatershow.com. Again, we're not going to do the commercial. We're going to go right to the next guest, who is, excuse me, caught in my throat, Carolyn Stash with AtlasTrax. That's what I get for not being able to drink coffee in the morning. Good morning, Carolyn. How are you?
Well, good morning. I'm actually speaking to you guys from Memphis, Tennessee this morning.
Wow.
So how is it y'all up there not talking like that?
Well, we only got in at about 11 o'clock last night, Roscala. We started from Sturgis a couple days ago. We ran out last week to do a little fly fishing and motorcycle rallying.
Yay.
And I'll tell you, thank goodness we brought our trackers.
Yeah.
We had a pretty exciting experience happen with to show the flexibility of our boat trackers. We brought 3 bikes out, so I had brought 3 trackers, so all the bikes and the trailer would be protected overnight. Wouldn't you know that our bike on the way to the Badlands, which was about a 4-hour drive and 100 and something heat, broke down. And with no cell service, there was no way for us to call anybody or get a tow truck to come get us. One of the girls in the office just happened to be watching us and saw us sitting in a gas station parking lot for hours, and figured something was quite not right, and was able to reach out to that gas station. They walked out to us, got us a tow truck, and towed the bike back to Harlem.
How cool.
So, if we wouldn't have had one of those trackers on board for safety, who knows how long we've been sitting out in a desert kind of environment.
Wow.
Now, so for people who don't know, Carolyn has one. I know she has several different models, but she has one that's about the size of a credit card. It's not as thin as a credit card, but it's about the overall size of a credit card. You could stick this thing in the back pocket. It's waterproof. It doesn't use cellular technology. It uses satellite technology, so you can be anywhere, literally anywhere on the planet. It can find you within 10 feet of wherever you are. This is amazing. This is something that if you're out there, and she gave a great example, you're going to be out going somewhere where you know you're going to have limited service or maybe no service, and there are people expecting you. You have one of these on you, and they can literally track you from wherever you're going to your destination. If you don't reach your destination and they see that you're stopped somewhere for a degree of time, it stands out like a sore thumb. Something's not right. We need to get a hold of them. This is something that I wholeheartedly support because a sad story, I think it's been a couple of years ago now, two teenagers, I think they were 16, who lived on the water, basically were dolphins in another life. They went fishing one day, a couple of them out in a boat, and went out the inlet. Something happened. We don't know exactly what happened, but the bottom line was they lost their lives that day. And if they had something like AtlasTrax with them, I have no doubt in my mind they would more than likely be alive today because this would have been able to be located very quickly, whatever the problem was, and be able to rescue them immediately. This is
well, you know what? What's great about it is you can set the trackers to send you emails or texts every 10 minutes. So let's say those children, if they had gone out and the parents were actively looking at the map or just a notification with a link to a map, They could have seen, okay, you're a little further than you're supposed to be, or come on back in, or situations like us. There were no messages. We're supposed to be driving 70 miles an hour on a bike. There were no messages that were coming into her for an hour and a half. Well, that's a flag.
Yep.
So she was able to just log on, zoom in, see the satellite image of the gas station, what corner of the gas station we were in.
Wow.
And have
That's
someone
amazing.
from the gas station come out and ask us if we were okay.
That
That was
is
very
amazing.
cool to have that, and just for her just checking on us. And I brought the tracker specifically because I wanted to go fly fishing in a stream and just get some good message points and some locations, and it ended up saving us, getting us off the road. For it could be potentially a situation with no water and no supplies.
Wow.
But as far as theft, I also brought the 3 trackers to put on everybody's bike just in case that they were stolen in the middle of the night. So we were using it for multi-purposes, for theft, which we do on the boats, as you know, theft of ATVs, boats, but also personal safety locations. And as we're driving back through Florida in the next couple of days, we're going to have that thing on the whole time just in case we have vehicle trouble.
Amazing.
You never know.
This is the part of technology that I enjoy, that we can use technology to actually help us remain safe in whatever it is that we're doing. There's times that I talk about technology and how we're so saturated with it. This is one technology that would prove without a doubt to be something that would be life-saving if you had it with you. And God forbid something goes wrong, this is going to be literally a lifesaver for you. Especially if we've mentioned many times, we're here on the East Coast, and Bimini is not very far from us. And we have a lot of people that go from here to Bimini repeatedly, back and forth. This would be something that you would want to have with you when you go out on a boat, regardless of whether you're going a mile offshore or all the way to Bimini. This is easily trackable. Within 10, this is the part that flips me out. Within 10 feet anywhere on the planet, they can find you. Now, if you've ever been out on the water, I use the water because this boat, this whole show is about water, basically. If you've ever been out in the water on a boat, and the one that comes to mind for me is I spotted some weeds floating, and I wanted to go to I was telling the guy that was running the boat, pull up the lines and let's go get those weeds. We pulled up the lines, turned around, can't find the weeds. They're gone. And this is literally within a minute is all it took. That's how easily it is to lose something out there in the ocean. It is broad, it is wide, and it's literally like a needle in a haystack. Well, if you have one of these with you, God forbid something goes wrong, your needle now turns into a spotlight. They can easily find you very quickly. And that's the whole trick to safety. So if something goes wrong, the faster that you can be recovered, the less danger there is of you having harm done to you. And the same thing with your equipment. The faster you can recover your equipment, the less damage that is done, generally speaking. The less damage that is done to the equipment, the more the chances are you're going to get your equipment back in the condition it was before they took it from you. So this is something I support
And you
wholeheartedly.
mentioned a short hop to Bimini. I mean, when the storms come up and the waves come up and you get a little vertigo, we had a friend whose older father and mother were just doing that quick 2-hour run from Bimini. They got so disoriented they were going round and around in circles and didn't even realize they were.
Wow.
And thank God they had the tracker on board. But the Coast Guard was called on them, and it's a simple trip that people usually do on one engine and don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's 52 miles away. And that you have to be safe. You have to be safe, and things happen. And when they happen to you, you realize how good your product is when it's actually being used for yourself. And now's the time people are going out and boating. They're buying new boats. They're unfamiliar with them. Did they put the plug in the bottom? The three expensive engines all died at the same time. Well, what went on there? Why are they drifting in the Gulf?
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely need this for theft and for safety. It's really what people are using this for. Float plans and hurricane dock plans that we do for folks. People check in with me and say, hey, watch me, I'm going over to Bimini, and I get a bag of fish on my doorstep when they come back. So it's a really, it's a great way for me to get a lot of, lobster tails and things. Because people appreciate you just kind of taking a peek and making sure they got the slip 5 over at Big Game Club.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're out of time, unfortunately. This is what happens when we're having a good time. We run out really quickly. It seems like a blink of an eye. We just had you on. But again, you are a regular of mine, and I will have you on again. Before we go, it is AtlasTrax, AtlasTrax, X like X-ray, AtlasTrax.com. Carolyn is the person that you want to get a hold of. Any other way they can reach you, Carolyn, other than online?
Sure. My personal cell phone 24/7 is area code 954-465-3743. Don't forget, we always have a few for rentals. And Pam, I didn't get a chance to say good morning to you. I know you're running late, but good morning, and I'll see you back in Florida in a day and a half.
Well, I got my hand slapped over the weekend from Jessica, an old friend of yours. Because she and her husband supply my bait. And she told me if I don't get exactly. She told me if I don't get a tracker on my boat immediately, I was dead meat.
I'll make sure I'll reach out to her. She's great. They're a great family. They're going through a lot, and I appreciate it. And we'll get a tracker for you. I promise. Text me your email address. your mailing address.
I'll catch you when you get back. Bye.
You got it.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for listening. God bless you. Wish you a wonderful day. We'll be back in a week.